Start recording there. Okay, here we go. We are going live, 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 live. It's a matter of time till we are live. We're going to turn this screen off and go up here like this. Go boom. Oh, I think we got to do this first. Press the button. Oh, man. Go live. Here we are. We are live and direct again from the Trent Knox Productions Studios. This is Trent Knox, and this is the Trent Knox Show. And this is a part of the series Creator Economy Talks with Trent Knox. And do I have a lot to talk about on this episode? This is episode number 4 of Creator Economy Talks with Trent Knox, and I'm just getting back from an amazing week in Las Vegas for Creator Economy Live and Affiliate Summit West 2023. And I got to thank Craig Gonzalez. Shout out to him. He is my alliance manager at Tapalti, and he's the one who said, you got to come out. You got to come out here. You got to learn this ad tech space. You've got to just kind of introduce this lingo and the way that the folks over here are doing business into your business. And so I headed out on the 22nd of January, and I got in super early, and I hung around in Vegas that first day, and I kind of got used to and acclimated again to what Las Vegas is. The only time that I've been out there before this trip was for my brother's 21st birthday, and we had a good time. We stayed at the Tropicana that go around, and we had more engagement with the shows, and it was really more of a personal trip than it was like a business trip. And it was really cool because like that time I explored and got to know the resorts and everything beforehand. So I already kind of had an idea of where I was going to stay and all of that deal, because I had an idea of what the strip was like. And so if you've been to Vegas before, it's a little chaotic. And those of you who haven't been to Vegas before, get as much advice as you can from YouTube, from your friends and family, from wherever you get your information from when it comes to going out to Vegas. And I can say that pretty much for any big city that you go to, whether that be like New York or Miami, Austin, Dallas, Houston. Just like reach out to your network and ask them, what they think and where the good places to go are, the good places to stay are, and etc. So anyway, I showed up on that Sunday, and I kind of just hung around. I didn't really tap into the people who were already there. I guess I found out later that people had been in there since Saturday, and I should have I should have tapped in, because I sat around for a while. I shot some craps. I played a little bit of slots, and I really didn't get around too much that day because I checked in my luggage at around 11 or something like that, to the bellhop, and I was going through a little bit of a little dilemma, because I had booked 2 rooms, one at the Link and one at the Flamingo. I ended up staying at the Flamingo this go around, but I was able to check out the Link room and everything like that, and it was if I had done my purchasing differently, I probably would have stayed at the link, and it wasn't any price difference. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a logistical mistake. I don't know. I had in my mind that I was going to stay at the link, and then I ended up at the Flamingo. But hey, it happens. It was definitely a learning experience that go around, and Link is a little bit of a newer resort, and the Flamingo is obviously one of the two existing hotels on the Las Vegas Strip, which now I've stayed at the two oldest hotels, the Tropicana and the Flamingo. And so next go around, I'm definitely probably going to make another hotel booking mistake. I'm not exactly sure where I'll be staying next time I go to Vegas. I'd like to stay at a Caesars property, because I started to build up a rapport at the Caesars properties. But I could find myself staying at a Wynn property, or even at the Cosmopolitan, Aria, or a Hilton property, something like that. I don't know. We will see when that time comes around, and that time may come around very soon. From what events I'm looking at as far as Vegas for this quarter, or even Vegas for next quarter, but we'll see. All right, so again, I got in there Saturday early morning, couldn't check in until 4. I guess that's like a normal thing out there in Vegas, and so the bags, I left them at the bellhop at La Link, and then I had to move them over to the Flamingo later on that day. But yeah, I had a great time that first night. Went out to the club, partied, had fun. Boom, Monday, hit the ground running early, showed up. I showed up pretty early on day 1 for Affiliate Summit West, and I was like a fish out of water. I was so out of my comfort zone in a way, but also not at the same time, because I'm familiar with navigating conferences and expos and whatnot, but they didn't have the expo open until later that day. So it was a little bit of an interesting schedule as far as something I'm not so familiar with, because when I'm talking in the gaming and esports industry, it starts at 8 a.m. It's jam-packed. Everybody's going crazy, blah, blah, blah. There's computers flying around all over the place. You got cosplayers already hitting the floors. You got vendors selling merchandise at the expo, just slinging, drinks, popcorn, beverages, everything. You got tournaments going on, and just loud noises, bomb, 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 bomb. And it's just it is an experience. And going to this experience and having a much more mellow conference. People are kind of just talking, intermingling with people that they know. They're, I'm hearing like different lingo. I'm picking up on words that I'm not familiar with how they're being used, and I'm starting to like really just kind of try to see where I fit in. So they say get in where you fit in, and I was trying to still figure that out, and it was a bit like there was a bit of a like a non-ergonomical feel to the Caesars Forum where it was being held, because there wasn't quite enough seating for everyone to just relax and wait till at 12 p.m. when everything started to really get going. And so by 12 p.m. I'm into the meat market, and I keep hearing words that I'm just like so unfamiliar with. But anyway, so it's kind of like one segue, because I did sit down in an area that was more of like a social gathering area prior to everything kind of opening up, and I did have some people sit next to me, and started chatting with them, and getting the impression that what I just got myself into was vastly different than everything I'd ever been hearing about on YouTube or listening on Facebook. I realized that I really am a social media creator. I am specific to this one niche of the industry, not the industry, but the internet. And there's a whole lot more to learn about, like, dinosaurs and old cats and people in the industry that are hip to both the new stuff and the old stuff. And they're like Web 1, there was so much going on in Web 1 when people were adults in that time frame, and then Web 2, which was another thing, and now we're breaking into more of a Web 3 space with social media and with this engagement. So that word Web 2.5 that I've thrown around sometimes, I really learned a lot more about what that means on the Web 2 side compared to the Web 3 that we're going to, with virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality, experience reality, these things. And what's so fascinating about it is once you get into the business side of it and you start to have these business conversations with people who have been veterans in the game when it comes to ad tech and monetizing content online, you start to pick up on lingo that they use. And what's so fascinating about that is, like, you hear people have been going to this conference for 20 years. People have been, they've got badges and honors and things for like playing a game that you don't even realize that there's like an achievement or a reward or an experience level that you're gaining. And so I'm just like, coming from the gaming industry, applying the gamer terminology to that industry, I was so fascinated by all the things they had to say, and some of the things that they were like, well, this is more on the gray area of offers and deals. And, in this space, what a content creator is a publisher. And then a publisher can have a network. And then that started to feel familiar in a way. Then I started to kind of like grasp how I was going to apply the words in a way that would be easily translated to and picked up of what I've done on social media. Because I'm sure they knew, they could do the translation easily because they understand both the I guess the mediums or formats very well, the format of social media and the format of old school Web 2. And so now I'm just like, okay, blogs, newsletters, all these different things, emails, yada yada yada. I can play that game. I know that a little bit, but there was just so much of the interpersonal communication and who knew who were buddies and who were the powerful women in the space, who were the powerful men in the space, what was their format. I learned a little bit about like how the offers are different, based on different networks, like that they're what they're going after, and some of the gray things, like I said, gray area stuff like dating and personal finance and I'm just blanking right now. Gambling and casinos and sports books, and some of that more, cannabis, those things that are on the fringe of popular content. And now it's interesting because this event's on, the, you call it the Midwest, but you call it the West Coast if you wish. I mean, Las Vegas, the desert, whatever. It's an interesting group of people who come together. People from the West Coast, people from the East Coast, and yet they didn't. For whatever reason, I felt like I was one of the only ones representing the South. When I showed up, I know that the hosts and the MCs that I heard talking at the events, they didn't even acknowledge the South. Not one time did they ever say, let's hear it from the South. And nobody said, that didn't happen. And it was like, dang. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like happy to be there because I'm glad to have been included, but it's like, oh, there's no representation for people like me there, and I'm like, oh, crazy. Like, there's so much opportunity. I wonder why that doesn't happen. South by Southwest happens in Austin, Texas, but the representation of tech community, in the South, whether that be, Florida's considered part of the South, Georgia, Louisiana, Tennessee, any parts of the prospering, South, they just weren't represented, I should say, not represented, but it was really interesting and odd to have felt that. But that was something that I experienced, and I felt like, oh, but I didn't feel excluded necessarily in the meat market, in the vibe, in the culture. I didn't feel that way. But when it came to the people represented on the stage, I did, and that was like weird. It felt like, well, where is the inclusivity? Like that component of like they would be quicker to mention international visitors than they would be able to acknowledge the locals. That's really strange to me. But that's slightly different than my agenda when it comes to representing people who get it from the mud, people who are starting from the bottom, like and grinding their way up and coming from the culture. And so it was interesting to see, like, when people, I guess maybe it's because of that gray area of business that some things actually rise to the top in that space, but they're not quite, they're not at the meniscus of it all at the top, because when you go in from the meat market to the expo, which was the next day after Monday, so that'd have been the 24th, when you started to break into that, you start to notice the way that it works at a larger scale, and that you start to learn about terminology that you understand, with the fact that if you're a content creator on social media, part of the creator economy, that you have to hustle, you have to be there or be square, in that participation is super big and key in getting deals and getting sponsorships and everything associated with affiliations and alliances and what have you. You have to be present in online. Content creators are much more forward facing, and they have a face to the content that they're producing, whereas these brands don't necessarily have that, because they do on a not public aspect, like their CEOs and their executive teams are kind of the leadership component. But when it comes to the actual presentation of the brand, it's not necessarily like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. There's not like a brand name associated with like a performance marketing agency or a network or an advertiser or anything like that. There are CEOs, but the CEOs can change. They can be brought in and out. It's not very personally branded in that nature. And so what was really cool was to learn, so what do these advertisers or associations, what are they looking for? Why are they here? And a big component of it was networking for certain. The panels, the one thing about this space that was weird is that the panels were kind of exclusive, which doesn't make much sense to me. Like the fact that the information that these deities or idols in this space is sort of payment gated or walled off. I was a little bit confused by that, as far as certain main stage activities were limited, which means, well, to me, I think why is it the main stage is limited? Why isn't it a second or third stage is a limited stage? Because the main stage, you'd think that's open to the general public and people who Well, not general public, but get open to general ticket holders and people that are just getting into the space. But I mean, they've built a amazing conference, over the course of, over a decade, obviously. But it's crazy how engaged, I gotta say, the attendees are in that space, in that vertical of the affiliate economy. And then, so by day 3, I mean, it's Vegas. People are getting a little bit like worn out and everything, and because they're partying hard after 5 p.m. And they're getting there about, they ironically they're not there for very long because they're going 12 to 5, and then everyone's out doing their mixers and doing their meetups and their happy hours, and then they're going to the Omnia nightclub, and they're just partying throughout the night, and then they got to get up again and do it at 12 again. And most people did show up around 12 p.m. and it was interesting. I showed up, I'd be out pretty late. I wouldn't say I was out till 5. I was out till 5 a.m. a couple of nights, but shooting craps, blah blah blah. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to get into all the things, but I was out there, and I was doing my thing, and I was fortunate to go to dinner with a few different people, including Craig and some other members of the Tapalti team, and then get mixed up, getting in the mix and getting, fun. I didn't get twisted this go around. I know cannabis is super cannabis friendly out there and everything like that, but I didn't partake. I was very, very responsible in the nature of like not getting too lost in the sauce and popping off in that regard, because I think that I still have some learning experience to do to get to the place where I feel comfortable popping off like that, and and networking with those folks who party hard and get it done like real big like that. I'm not yet at that stage, right? Maybe that's a reason why some of that information is kind of held off and gate kept a little bit, but we'll see. I mean, it's a learning experience. There's an aspect of, like I said, get in where you fit in, and you kind of develop along the way. Those 20-year road dogs who've been like hustling and getting it done like that, it was really inspirational and motivational, and really cool to get to know those guys and see some of them who are kind of like behind the scenes, and and just like seeing how they navigate, against the grain a little bit, and successful too, mad successful, almost more successful than the straight air edged people. And I mean, this space is not very, I mean, there are things that are like, well, that's questionable. I mean, health insurance, questionable, personal finance, questionable. Like, put that on the chopping block for certain, especially, wheeling and dealing debt and shit like that. Like, I'm certain things I'm like about, because, but when you got to make ends meet, you got to make ends meet. Like, that's how that goes. It's fascinating. It really is. It's a fascinating space, and it rolls into what their first attempt at a creator economy event. And I gotta be honest, it was a little bit light dressing. It could have been a lot heavier, and I'm not saying it was real light, like almost watered down. It was just a little bit light in the sense that the brands were heavy. The brands definitely heavy there. All the big name brands that you can think of showed up. all the ones that they advertised and more. Like people, they the things that they were interested in, or not necessarily even interested in, but the things that they were talking about were heavily related to, like, almost felt like they just weren't participating. They're not participating in the content creator as a content creation. And that makes sense because, these guys are more executives and whatnot. They've got an established reputation. They kind of got, unless they get, kind of let go or something like that, then they're not going to play the social media game of having to get like 300,000 followers or whatever the case may be. They don't know how it works. They're not ingrained into that. Now, there are some, don't get me wrong, there are some executives who were up there that were talking that game, like knew what they were talking about, and it was interesting. But it wasn't like on. It was kind of on, for 15 seconds and then off. It was like back to this droning on about how to measure success, and it's like nobody cares about that. People care about the creative. People care about the community. People care about the message. That's the things that people care about, right? And it wasn't all there. It wasn't. There were some creators. They even platformed some creators at the event. Not to say that those creators are bad or anything like that. Like, just they didn't have the pizzazz, and they didn't necessarily know. They didn't know what audience they were talking to, right? They didn't know how to rise them up. There wasn't really a master of ceremony, a host, a rapper, or like even a comedian. Really, it was just kind of like very dry at times, and that's very tough. The dryness got a little bit like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna have to really crank this one. And by the time I'm sorry, I'll probably be sorry about this, but I was like, I gotta get out of here. I've been here 4 days, like, now, and I'm like, I gotta go get a little bit of a nap before we go out again. And so, and I was really cognizant of my time there. And there are other things that I'm forgetting to mention here now that I'm like forgetting or remembering things that happen. But as a lone wolf, I would say, as a free agent at this event, I was really, I had like the most fun, I feel like, because I wasn't really tied down to anything. I could jet off, and I'd be like, I had my peoples there, right? I had people that I've been working with, for some time, but I was able to actually engage with people, like, just that were just in Las Vegas, like, and chat to them, and obviously attendees and whatnot, because I really was just there to kind of soak in as much as possible without being like oversaturated with like overwhelmed by the information. And I gotta be honest, at times I felt overwhelmed, and luckily they had coffee on deck. They had coffee, like, they were slinging coffee, espresso. The thing they didn't have was iced coffee, and that might be because the ice would melt, but I don't know why they wouldn't have iced coffee. They should have had iced coffee. It was just all hot coffee, which is, I guess, good because it was kind of cold for certain. It's winter in Las Vegas, and so it was good to have that, available, especially if you're going outside. I was, there's a coffee shop, and I was prepared for certain to like spend $20 for coffee and a bagel. Like, I was prepared for that. So I was like, here goes another $20, but I'd take that, and then I would go to the convention, and I would use the ice in that. And so I basically get like 3 drinks out of 1 drink, because the way that they were pouring it up at the coffee shop, they were like dumping sugar, dumping chocolate into it. So by the time I had ice, I would drink a little bit, and then I'd fill it up a little bit with hot coffee. Boom, 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 and I'd get like 3 drinks out of it. And I hit an espresso shot, boom, and then I'll be like, I'll be going around just zapped. And I was able to kind of check out the publisher demo stage where people were talking about how they're breaking into the industry and shaking it up, and that was fun. That was good. And of course there was like a ticketed drink ticket bar. So there was a drink ticket bar in both the meat market and the expo. So I was able to get some drinks, and kind of pregame a little bit for the evening. And it was exciting. It was exciting. And when it slowed down and it got down to like the go-getters, the people who are sticking it out, getting it done, right? My alliance manager Craig took me around to some of the clients at Tipalti, and we chatted with them, and I was able to add some more connections and deepen some relationships with those clients at Tipalti, and kind of explore, okay, well, what can we do next to really take what we're doing in the creator economy with Tipalti to the next level. And I was able to hang out with Tipalti a little bit more on the creator economy live event on that Thursday, because they also had a place at the expo, which is interesting for certain. It was a different vibe for certain. Yeah, I mean, the affiliate summit was just jam packed. It was jam packed. It was just tons of people. This other creator economy live event was for more of the big dogs for certain. It was interesting. Now, it was very finance heavy and creator measurement heavy. Not enough creators. Not enough creators. Definitely need a lot more creators. I don't know what. Maybe it's because creators have like financial expectations associated with attending conferences, but I think they just are missing. They're missing a demographic of creators. I think they're missing the way that Etsy has been successful, the way that Poshmark and the way that like DeviantArt has been successful. Like, they're missing a perspective there where they want to use these really Disney, Nickelodeon, basically child actors that come up as their case example of what a creator is in a world where creators spontaneously burst from the ashes like a rising phoenix, and I don't think they understand that. So they're kind of trying to, what the brands are trying to do is utilize established agencies. These agencies are then scouting, and I've been I don't want to say a victim of this, but I've been a example of this, where someone typecasted me or profiled me for a certain role before, and I actually didn't end up playing that role because they ended up going in a different direction. But it's interesting to hear what they think that I am, or what I look like as a consumer profile. So I mean, it was exciting, that's for sure. And I'm pumped. I'm really pumped to go out and do that again. The lingo, that was the key takeaway. Like, reworking my delivery to both speak to the the creator economy and content creator economy, and to the affiliate economy, kind of simultaneously, whilst being a publishing creator, and that's established a social media network of and now it's like, how do you cross these terminologies in a way that resonates with both audiences, the old school dudes and females, and the new school men and women. And it's interesting. I'm still reflecting on that information that I gained there, and trying to think, okay, well, now how do I go back to some of those old conversations I was having, that maybe because I was speaking more like trendy in a way, and not with the dictionary of term analogies, do I go and introduce these words to those conversations, and what can we do to maximize the opportunities there? Of course, there's new opportunities, and I'm now inundated with opportunity. I'm talking to multiple different facilitators, distributors, and whatnot, about how to get it in. Especially because I think that there was a big conversation about the fact that this is like a low financial period with a potential with an existing recession, in my opinion. But not so much. I mean, there's ways for brands to deploy capital, resources, funding to marketing and sales, and get a return on investment, and all the ROAS, all that stuff that they're talking about, getting it, even though those terms are like super heavy accounting terminology, that you have to have one person's delegated to that, which makes sense why they're constantly talking about measurement of success. Like, it makes sense. It's just really counterintuitive to the creative process, because you don't want to be tied up in thinking about necessarily how successful a piece of creative is going to be. Of course, you have to have you can't be negligent in creating content, and you can't mail it in when you create content, because then you start to develop a bad reputation, and people don't want to work with you because you haven't held up your end of the bargain on a deal or an offer or traffic that you're generating. And so those were the three words that really, really rang the bell every day. It was like, all right, let's talk about offers, deals, and traffic. Boom. That was the conversation every single day, and figuring out how people use those three words. And then there was the those are more of like the verbiage, and then there was like the adjectives and the nouns that were being used, and those could get conflated, and there was all kinds of messiness to that. But it was a whole lot to decompress, and so I asked, I think I've said this a few different times, like, where's the dictionary to this business? Like, where is the thing? And I looked up and I found a few different ones. I mean, there are a few different websites that have approached consolidating the terminology, and the words are the words that you'd think that are the words that get used the most in colloquial use are kind of like low key basic words, but used differently. The more advanced words, are easier to just like straight comprehend for face value in the word flashcards, the Quora.com of marketing. Like that's that's so easy, but the words you could slip up on are the basic words, because it depends who you're speaking to and what niche they're coming from. If they come from the personal finance, they might just be like, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more, if you don't have anything in their space. And they're almost rude about it. Like I got, it was like, it felt abrasive, like that they weren't there for anything other than people like them. They were like, wholly not inclusive personal finance people. It's really funny, just to be honest. And then there were like networks and publishers that didn't have a booth, that were egoing me, and I didn't like that necessarily. That was really funny. Didn't know how to really deal with that. When it started, when everything was getting the ball rolling, it was more like felt very odd and weird, because you're a new guy, you're fresh noob, you don't know anything, you're a baby bird, like you're like just trying to get your wings going, and it's like snip, 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 cut your wings off, like just like in the middle of talking to someone, and they're like, "Oh, cool story, dude. See you later," and they walk off, and it's like what the heck? Like there are people who want to like be helpful, and people who are like more mentor figures, and like more like I don't know, more like us, like will bring you under their wings and kind of show you the way, show you the ropes. And then there are people like, I don't even know that their structure or why they do the business that way, where they're like kind of they put up this wall to new people or noobs or whatnot, but they do. And then it's like, and then come to find out they sell a mentorship program or something like that, and they're like low key bad at sales. And it's like, wait a minute, like it's like, what? Wait, you sell it, like scammers, like they're scammers, like not even gonna lie, like they are just like, they're like pretenders. They go on, create a webinar series or like a teachable, and it's like you meet them, you don't know they have it until after the fact, or you do know, and then you meet them, and like you look up to them, and they're just like, "Oh, cool story, bro. Cool. Thank you. Yeah." And then it's like, don't even give you a little bit of time a day, even though you drop money into their program. Like, I've seen this in other industries before, but I saw it like third party, kind of just like observing how people, how they idolize certain people. And you see like certain people look up to other people, and also like just totally outright lie. like it was like, totally outright like well, not lie, but misrepresent the truth, or tell certain people certain information, and then go around and tell other people separate information, and think, what the heck just happened here? Like, we were connecting on an offer, then you give this other dude a different offer. Wait, that offer sounds better than the offer that you were talking to me about. What makes you think that I'm not in on that offer? Like, what happened here? like, why did you profile me to be that type of guy versus that type of guy? And then when I'm telling you what type of guy I am, you're thinking I'm some other type of guy. What? Like, that's just so bizarre to me. Because I shoot it straight. I have very specific things that I do, and the things that I don't do, I don't pretend that I do, or I don't like explore other like things. Like if I'm doing a certain thing, I'm gonna do that, and I can say, yeah, I used to do that. I could have, I kind of still do that, but it ain't the prize. I want to show you the prize. This is the prize. Let me show you the big deal here. Let me show you what's what, and then yeah, it's just bizarre. It's real. There was a bizarre component to it for certain, and that was a learning experience. And that's me decompressing everything that did happen. And I would say I'm pretty much I take a lot of chances. I do because I want to learn. I want to learn. I want to be educated. I want to be able to give that information to those who will listen, from my lived experience, and break it down, because I really haven't had that. I haven't had that for myself yet. I haven't yet felt like there's a certain individual that's really broken through. Yeah, there's Gary Vee. Yeah, there's Grant Cardone. There's like Alex Hormozy breaks it down pretty good too. For me to really kind of chop it up again and then remix it for a way that'll really work for me. But I don't know. Maybe I just haven't heard it come from a voice like my own, from a Southerner that, into technology, that came up in the, Hill Country Valley. Yeah, I mean, it's there though. That's the thing that I don't understand is South by Southwest it prospered, but maybe it prospered from transient people. People didn't, don't come from cut from the same cloth. They don't come from the dirt like I do around here. That red dirt, that burnt orange dirt. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say. I can't really. There's no one size fits all answer to this. But yeah, I mean, I'm implementing a lot more into my strategy. I would say, as far as offers go, I've been developing these affiliate offers that I have on my Linktree. And so if you've gotten this far and you're watching the video, at the bottom you'll see that I have a ticker running for my links, and it's just running. And if you go, you go. If you don't, you don't. You don't pick up what I'm putting down. But if you do, you do. It's interesting because I feel like I'm still in the entertainment business, but I'm not a rapper. I'm not a esports player. I'm not an actor. I'm not anything in particular. I'm really, I wouldn't even call myself like a broadcaster, really. Like, I'm barely a podcaster. Like, yeah, I put up a podcast, but as far as packaging and like polishing and all of that, it's got a lot of work, and I'm going to put in as much work as possible going forward. Just gonna do my best to make it happen. It's a process. It's a developing process. I don't have all the offers that I think resonate with me I think I keep on learning more and more. I think I'm sort of in a B2B space, because I see opportunity for me to help those who have built a huger or larger brand than I have. Like I meet content creators all the time who are in the, tens of thousands to or 50,000 follower mark, on platforms, and even breaking past that, like up in the millions mark. I have a buddy that was able to do that, and I don't get to talk to him as much, but when I do get the chance to talk to him, it's always been super valuable to hear what his perspective. Like, it's not cross-platform, it's on platform, on certain platforms. It's interesting to talk to people who are bigger on the meta platforms of Facebook or Instagram versus TikTok or YouTube or whatnot. It's fascinating for certain. It's a process. Don't forget that. It's a journey. It's you start somewhere with a vision. You don't necessarily know the destination other than the sort of accomplishments and everything like that, but you end up settling somewhere, right? That was the whole manifest destiny component of why foreigners moved west. It was in the anticipation and hope to find a better life. And that's what we're doing. I think that everyone is doing that now. It's not manifesting the West, it's manifesting destiny. And destiny, it's even bigger than destiny now. It's like manifesting legacy. I don't think people that were manifesting destiny even thought that they would ever be written down in the history books or the laurels of the world. Like, I think there are obviously those who've accomplished far more than the average human. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, like just certain individuals. The presidents don't have any established. You think of George Washington, okay, that's it. Like, don't these other presidents, they're gonna be fanboys for those people, but they didn't really set the bar, the tone of voice. There are people, there are much more influential people in the world than the presidents that we've had recently. Like, they're just a flash in the pan, right? And I think that it is true that leadership and whatnot in the world, whether it be from a corporate or a government standpoint, does need to just somehow become a lightning rod or a beacon of truth to a larger global population. It cannot be these speaking to niche categories, and really those are trolls. The trolls are the ones who are like at the very just causing disruption for the pleasure of seeing chaos in the mainstream popular culture of what is happening now. And they're not even comedians. They're not even trying to be funny. They're just trying to be confrontational and disruptive. And then you have to look at yourself and you have to think, well, how does that apply to me? What am I doing that is disruptive to the greater good? And is that, are those trolls that are being negative Nancy's toward your introspective nature, are they manipulating in a way that kind of derails the progress that eventually develops out of if you would continue down the journey basically self-actualization, and not letting letting uh, just not letting detrimental life choices diminish your overall, you know, self-image. So yeah, it's a process. I think ultimately at the end of the day, everyone has the opportunity to be valuable. Everyone has the opportunity to do something meaningful, and everyone can establish legacy. Obviously, it's a lot easier to establish legacy if you're starting on third base, right? The home run is just around the corner. Or it's not even around the corner. It's, just down the straight. And there's a straight path to the home base. So, if we're playing baseball, that's what it is, And it's a variety of things. There's a lot of obstacles along the way and during this journey. So I would like to kind of surmise this by saying that if you want something and or you would like to do something, don't let others I don't want to say be selfish, but I kind of want to say be selfish. Just make sure that your interests are met first and foremost, and then you give everyone the opportunity to tag along, or the people who are resonating with you, but don't let those people who don't show up at the end of the day be the reason that you don't show up, right? So I think that's the message of the day. Don't let others that don't show up result in you not showing up. So again, this has been a Trent Knox Productions. This has been the Creator Economy Talks number 4, covering the Affiliate Summit West 2023 and Creator Economy Live 2023 in the state of Nevada, specifically in the city of Las Vegas. And it was an extraordinary experience, and I would not hesitate to do it again and recommend it to everyone who's in this space, whoever's doing creative content that's trying to monetize the things that they're doing online, whether it be making knickknacks on Etsy to reselling stuff on eBay to being in real estate and in any capacity, just doing business. I think it's important to go to these events and whatnot. So I will I'll upload this to the podcast networks and everything like that. But once again, until next time, this is Trent Knox signing off.